Hello?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, good, good. I'm glad that ended up working out all right. We got on stage earlier than I thought.
Oh, absolutely no problem. I actually had all day today, so whatever had to work out for you would have worked out for me. But I'm glad that we were
Cool.
able to do this interview.
Yeah, definitely. Appreciate it.
Oh, not a problem. And of course, we're here to talk about your brand new project, Nova Collective, whose brand new album is coming out next week through Metal Blade. And
Yeah,
and of course,
yeah, I'm excited.
oh, absolutely. And I got to check out the album so far, and I'm absolutely in love with the album so far. I love that
Oh,
instrumental
cool.
side of all of you guys, and it's great to see this kind of group together.
Yeah, yeah, I was a fan of the stuff that Rich was doing with Haken, and he was into, I guess Between the Bear to Me stuff. So, we both knew the other piece, the other guy that would complete the project. And, I mean, playing with those guys, you got to be in your top form. I mean, they're so good. They're so on. So, it's a pleasure getting to play with them, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, between both bands, I mean, you guys cover what you guys do so well instrumentally, melodically, and everything. So it's really cool to see a new take on what you guys do, since Nova Collective does not sound like any of the bands that you guys have been a part of.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a goal for me whenever I start something new, is kind of trying to figure out the space musically that it's occupying, what hole I feel like is kind of in my musical life. And I think doing kind of like, I don't know, just out there, experimental but very densely composed, all over the place fusion was definitely something that I was really excited about. I have another group called Trioscapes that is it's a fusion based group, but it is much more free. Free in terms of the writing, the composition. Everything's a little bit more looser, and has, I guess, more of like the idea of just improvisation, I guess. But we kind of use that idea in Nova Collective during solo sections and stuff. So that spirit is still there for sure. But
Yeah, I was gonna say that you're no stranger to doing this style of fusion. With myself
mhm.
also being a huge fan of Trioscapes, it's cool to see
Cool.
how well you can adapt with other musicians so well. I mean, with all of the projects that you got going on, I mean, it seems like you're so natural when it comes to songwriting.
I think it's just having creative energy, and then just constantly meeting new creative people that are inspiring you to to create new work and new sounds, new places. I mean, it's all stuff I wouldn't have thought up of normally in my own space. So that's what's, I think, most exciting about it to me, is that it taps into a part of my brain that I almost didn't even know was there. Yeah, as a creative person, that's so exciting.
Oh yeah, and that's how you really get to expand on that creativity, is being able to adapt and work with other musicians like that. I mean, if you only stuck to Between the Buried and Me, or you only stuck to Trioscapes, you wouldn't have those other outlets to expand your mind.
Yeah, it's super important, and they'll kind of end up. I mean, they expand your musical vocabulary, and end up influencing everything else that you're working on. Each time I do a new record with whatever group, I always learn something new and adapt it to the way I'm writing music, or whatever I'm doing. It's always a reaction. So it's, I don't know. I think that's cool.
Oh, absolutely. I try to be the same with my own playing, and of course, it's on a much different scale than what you've gotten to do with all the great musicians that you've been able to play with. But with that said, with being able to learn something new every time, what would you say that you learn
Mhm.
most from Nova Collective?
I think it was exciting because we really didn't have any sort of plan, and it was just sharing small ideas and having, I not really like holding any composition, any little piece too close and near and dear to your heart. In fear that it's going to get slashed down, or not accepted or something. It was really just coming in with small parts, sharing back and forth, building, finding the core of the tune, and then kind of realizing within all that, if we did, a song like like State of Flux, which is pretty far out there. It's kind of like that was the vibe of that song. It was going to go in that direction for 9 minutes or whatever. But a song like Air, we kind of wanted to do a little bit more to the point, a little bit more, finding the core of just what the idea, the main balance of the song is, and not straying too far from that. So it was an exercise in both things, and I think that's always just something that's exciting for me is just being able to toy with new arrangement ideas, and that's something that keeps writing with Between the Buried and Me fresh, and every group, so
yeah.
that was big.
Oh yeah, I can definitely imagine so, and it really helps being able to write with other great musicians as well, if they have strengths that you don't have, or if you have strengths that they don't have. That way everyone is progressing in the band musically.
Yeah, I think there was a neat balance, because I think we're all into we had all proven in stuff that we've done before that we can we can kind of turn it on and rip when we need to. But it was fun in the studio. I get really excited about experimenting with kind of more in the sonic world, and so it was neat to really experiment with Rich and Pete, with keyboard and guitar sounds, and adding effects after the fact, and kind of adding just a really like mind-melting kind of psychedelic effect to everything, which I could tell was kind of new abstract territory with them, knob twiddling, which I think is was super exciting, just another thing to add to our bag, and kind of grow our our sonic landscape, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a great approach, and it's the more I listen to it, the more I hear those effects being taken place, and they really do add to the sound in a great way.
Yeah, it's kind of, they were all kind of, anytime you're playing with super effect driven stuff, it's kind of like not letting it take over the song, use it as a compositional sense, and for us it was really just warping stuff, and just using it to add like a new layer to what was happening, and it's just fun. It's a different way than for us all being kind of schooled musicians, to take yourself out of the sheet, off the sheet music, and just explore in the studio. That's what's so fun, being in the studio.
Oh, absolutely. So with that, did it take a while for you to find the sound that you were looking for when it comes to your own parts, as far as equipment or tone or anything like that?
Personally, I felt like I was trying to really expand my palette for this group, and definitely in terms of kind of solo sections and stuff. I wanted when the bass would come in to almost not sound or feel like the bass. And there's a solo section in the song Cascades that I've already seen people write that they thought it was a guitar solo, just because of kind of an octave up whammy effect, but it's just again, it's that idea of just sound manipulation, and then applying that to traditionally what's kind of like like a centered instrument solo spot. It doesn't have to always be shredding. You can just explore different sides, and I think that was something that was fun with this group. Being an instrumental project was being able to really explore that stuff, and having the time in the studio to do that. So I guess that just had to do with being comfortable enough with the music that you could record it with no problem, and then be able to spend time having fun in the sound world and experimenting. And Jamie King has fun with that, and we've always had a good time over the years. When it gets to that point in the recording session, you kind of breathe a sigh of relief and know that you're having fun and doing the things that they're gonna just add a different element to the music.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about being able to put out a debut album with a great group of musicians like this, is that there is really no goals other than to just make an album that you want to make. I mean, there's no real structure that you have to follow. There's no one that you need to impress. You just can go in there and make the music that you want to make.
Yeah, it was very fun, and I think with the body of work that me and Matt and Rich have done so far, we're not going to half-ass anything, 'cause without knowing where it was leading or what it was going, I mean, we knew it was leading to a record and doing something, and, you know, we wanted to keep it under a certain amount of time, just being an instrumental record, and honestly, in the world of, you know, the vinyl resurgence, trying to make sure it would fit on a single album. There's, different things that you have to consider now. You know, I think that we took it seriously, but had a lot of fun, for sure.
Yeah.
I would say there was never a time where I felt like I was in my bedroom for like 6 hours and left frustrated or, you know, annoyed because nothing was coming. It was very relaxing, very smooth and easy to write.
Yeah, and I always feel those make for the best albums. I mean, sometimes there are some albums that are amazing that were made under frustration, but more often than not, when everyone in the studio is relaxed, having fun, there's no pressure, and you just can create the music that you want to make, the fans will be able to enjoy that album more, and the musicians will always go back to that kind of album.
Yeah, I could definitely tell you the ones that were struggle with between the Buried Me and the ones that have been fun. So, yeah, it's true. It's very true. Yeah.
Switching it up a little bit. Of course, you are currently on tour with Between the Buried and Me with the Devin Townsend project. How has the tour been so far?
It's good. It's our last run in our kind of 2-year album cycle. So you know, it's the last week of it, and it's been good. It's freezing over here. We're in Stockholm today, Sweden, and you know, we're anxious to get home and be with our families, and you know, I've already written a lot of new music for our next record, and we're just gonna enjoy some time away from music, and then regroup later in the spring or early summer, and knock out another record.
Oh yeah, and I definitely know about the cold living in Minnesota, so I definitely understand with Stockholm.
Yeah, it's brutal. I've of course I've got home base, which is in North Carolina, and my phone, and you know, my girlfriend's always sending me photos, and it's been in the 70s. Very weird winter there. I mean, it's usually, you know, we get a couple snows a year, but it's at least hovering in the 40s, and it hasn't been that at all this summer, or winter, sorry. So it seems like summer, but it's definitely very much winter over here.
Oh yeah, but it is cool to see that you can end this run with Coma Eclectic with such a great band like Devin Townsend project, and you know, just really getting that last experience before you take a necessary break, because I think a lot of fans forget how important that is, that bands need to recharge their batteries to be able to put out great music.
Yeah, you have to have the time to grow, you know, and that's I'm always thankful to have that time, even just between tours throughout, you know, our 2-year or 3-year album cycle, when I'm able to do records with different people and not feel like I'm getting burnt on just one thing. I've actually had kind of a long drought of going on tour with some of my other groups. I did a short tour with my band Orbs this summer, but you know, Trioscapes is getting back going this year, and I'm just I love having those outlets, not only creatively but also in the live sense. Very important, shaking it up and having just a different vibe, seeing different people on stage and interacting with the crowd in a more personal and different way. I like having the balance of both worlds a lot.
Oh yeah, and that's the other thing with recharging your batteries. Doesn't mean that you have to give up music. It just means that you just want to play different styles of music as well. I mean, Orbs is so different from Trioscapes, from Nova Collective to Between the Buried and Me, and it's great to see that the passion is there for all of the projects that you are a part of.
Yeah, anything that I spend my time doing creatively is just as important as the next thing. Because one might sell more records than the other, it just doesn't mean anything to me. You know, if I'm putting my creative effort and time into it, it's as much as the next thing, for sure.
And speaking of that, with Nova Collective, is there any talks of any like one-off shows or anything in the future?
Oh yeah, we're trying to get some tours lined up now. We had an offer in the summer that sadly we had to turn down just because of Between the Buried and Me touring recording, and Rich's touring cycle with Haken and some other stuff. So we're going to find the time for sure. And right now we're just trying to, I mean, our album, like you said, comes out next Friday, so we're just trying to get it in the ears of, you know, people we know and different bands, and just see if anyone's interested in letting letting us hop on with them, for some shows.
Yeah, and I definitely hope that happens because it is a great album from start to finish, and it definitely deserves
Thank
that
you.
proper live promotion. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. Appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. One last thing I wanted to make sure that I touched on, of course, is the 10th anniversary of Colors. And how do you feel about the album 10 years later?
Oh, I mean, it's an exciting anniversary for sure. Even though it was 10 years ago, I remember that year really well. It started with me having mono. That was fantastic, and lasted a few weeks, and that was right. I think we had written a couple songs already, so thankfully we had a little break and recovered, and then we were just talking about one of those recording or writing sessions when you were just on fire and everything clicked and hit right. That was the first one I'd had with the group, and I think that the five of us together had. Alaska, we had all just kind of met and formed, and we were thrown into a room and just instantly writing, and it was weird, and I was pulling from a different world than everyone else at the time, and hard, making sensible songs out of things. And Colors, it was much different, and we were fired up after our summer of Ozfest. We've talked about that for 10 years now, but we were ready to break the fuck out of the world we were in and, really do something new. And that opened up a ton of doors for us. It finally really gave us recognition in the progressive music world. And, there's a lot I remember. I remember being super poor while we were writing it. We were all really poor. And, pretty much living off of Zatarain's rice and beans and the occasional Moe's burrito. And, I don't know. I'm just being flooded with memories right now. Just trying to thought. I'm remembering a bunch of random stuff. But it was great. It was a good time. And it was actually the first record that was recorded in Jamie King's, current studio now. He bought a house and he moved in, and the week he moved in, we started tracking the album. So it was kind of a landmark for both of us, for sure.
Oh, yes. And I remember that time as a fan vividly as well. I discovered the band with the Silent Circus, but I wasn't able to see you guys until the Colors tour when it hit the Triple Rock in Minneapolis with Horse the Band and Animosity and Giants.
Yeah.
And my first experience was seeing the whole album live, and it just made me fall in love with it.
Yeah, it was funny also how differently we operated back then without a manager, and we were pretty fearless. We wrote this record, and I believe the day it came out was the first day of our tour, and no one had ever thought twice about not playing the album live. It was like, we spent all this time this last year writing this and recording it. Obviously we're going to play it. And how funny to think that, the night it came out, we were playing it already, and people were reacting however they were to pretty much, brand new music. I feel like now our manager would be losing sleep, and we got to build up. We got to build up a hype for it. We're going to wait a year and then we'll do it. And we did that with Coma Ecliptic, and I wish we had just come out and played it. Because it felt really good and cathartic to play it when we did, but it was a year and a half at least into the cycle.
And with, of course, with so many of your albums now, you're able to play it from start to finish because it does have that great story feel behind it, or it's just an amazing album that deserves to be played from start to finish. Do you ever see yourself revisiting those kind of albums like Colors or Parallax, getting back into doing it from start to finish again live?
Yeah, we're gonna do a tour this fall doing Colors.
Oh no, really?
Across the U.S. Yeah, we haven't announced it yet, but I think it's pretty fucking obvious that we're gonna do it. So we're gonna do that. It's gonna be fun.
If that hits Minnesota, I am gonna be there. Absolutely, I would.
I hope it does. I don't know why we get up there so randomly. It's like seriously one of our favorite towns. We're big Pizza Luce fans, and
yes.
Yeah, man. It's just I don't know why we don't get up there more often. It's weird. We always have good shows when we do. I don't know.
Oh yeah, there's only been one time that I've missed you guys due to myself being in the hospital. I think you were. Oh. I forgot what show it was, but I remember Progressive Nation. I remember you guys playing at the Skyler Theater. I remember the Varsity Theater last time with Enslaved, and it's just like you guys always put on a great show no matter the circumstances.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we try. We try.
And that's the other thing I also really appreciate about you guys is you're not afraid to tour with the bands that you want to tour with. I mean, I've seen Horse the Band, I've seen Enslaved. You know, it's just like it's
Right.
great to see that kind of diversity.
We try to. You know, we struggle with, you know, wanting to take out whatever band we're listening to, and our manager being like, you know, okay, well, these guys draw this much, and, you know, these guys draw this much, and sometimes, you know, you're just like, dude, who cares? These guys are a sick band. We just want to take them out, and sometimes we win, and sometimes we don't, but we try to. I think we feel responsible to put together a package that, you know, we vouch for. You know, I feel like if people are coming out to our show, they're gonna be like, oh, so this is something they dig. Maybe I should check it out. If it's not honest, and it's not something that we actually like, that sucks. You know.
Yeah, well, in speaking of that, I mean, the last run that I got to see you guys with was with Enslaved. Did you guys win over any Enslaved fans, or vice versa, that you're aware of on that tour? Or
I don't know. You know, I mean, we had fun with them as a band. I mean, they were very cool guys, very chill. I just thought, you know, listening to their music, you know, their latest record before the tour, that, you know, I mean, I heard elements of Pink Floyd in their music, and, you know, kind of old classic prog, mixed in with, you know, the melodic black metal or whatever you call it. So to us, it didn't feel weird, and I think to both bands, you know, we had conversations off stage about King Crimson and you know, other bands and stuff we were into. So hopefully the, you know, fans were into it. I don't know. You know, it's weird, you know, it's again, it's a line of touring with a band that you want to tour with, and then, you know, kind of like a buzz band or whatever, you know, and Enslaved's an older band, and they probably have fans that have been their fans for a lot of years, you know, so I think it went over well, you know, from where I was seeing it.
oh yeah, and I have Between the Buried and Me and Dream Theater to thank for expanding my mind when I was first really divulging into metal, to open my mind up to all different genres that are out there, because it took bands like you guys for me to realize that any style of music can be good. It doesn't need to be metal to be good. It doesn't need to be prog to be good. It doesn't need to be pop to be good. It just needs to be good music.
That's true. It's very true. I think that it's if you listen to, I guess we're talking about Colors, you know, on that album, we really just let it all hang out. You know, we like bluegrass, we like fucking King Crimson, we like, you know, whatever. You know, I mean, there was stuff on it that was probably influenced by you know, sounds from the '90s that we loved growing up. You know, fucking, you know, Nirvana and whatever. You know, I mean, it was all there, Smashing Pumpkins, you know, all that shit. So that was really when that started for us, I feel like, you know, and I think that was a gateway into a you know, a next wave of Between the Buried and Me, and there were people that fell off, and there were people that jumped on and dug it, and I think the Coma Ecliptic record was, you know, another door, you know, Stargate type portal opening up in the universe, and us just being like, well, now it's 10 years later, and we're older, and, you know, the message that we had on Colors of, you know, looking forward and progressing our sound and our compositions is the same as now. We're just dealing with, you know, 10 more years of expanding, you know?
Yeah, and again, you know, going back to the beginning of the conversation, talk about Nova Collective and expanding your mind, it's great to see that with Between the Buried and Me, because if I would have heard like Colors Part 2 or Colors Part 3 Shapes or whatever the situation would have been, I don't know if I would have felt as strongly about the band if you guys didn't progress. I mean, the only album that I had a hard time getting into was Parallax 2, but that was only because I was in the hospital for a few months when it came out, so I didn't really have the time to be able to check out the album as much as I wanted to. Since then, I've been able to appreciate it just like all the rest of the albums, but it's great to see.
Yeah, I think all too often, you know, it gets thrown around like, I mean, progressive music, rock, metal, whatever, it gets thrown around like a buzzword, and it's important to remember at its core that it is, you know, it's a statement about, you know, the art of music and the expansion of it, and not a certain sound. You know, we're on tour with 3 very different sounding progressive bands right now. Devin Townsend, well, I guess, you know, us, Devin Townsend, and Leprous, pulling at all sorts of different spectrums. And, you know, it's a night of progressive music for sure, you know. When you look at Nova Collective, and that what does that line, blur with Between the Buried and Me, and then totally differ. It is an idea, and it's not a sound. I think, if we were all writing records that just sounded like, Dream Theater or Yes, what does that mean? It's dudes who can probably play, but, if you got to do something new, you got to push it.
Oh yeah, I mean you can do so many different clones of like Dream Theater, King Crimson, or now Between the Buried and Me, if you want to go that direction.
Yeah.
But if you expand your sound, that's how you stay truly progressive.
Yep, that's true.
Oh, awesome. Well, I probably should wrap this up since I know you got to be hitting the stage soon and everything like that. But thank you so very much for taking the time to do this. I'm actually wearing my Between the Buried and Me shirt that I picked up at that Colors tour back at the Triple Rock,
cool.
just in honor of this. And it's been a tremendous honor to be able to do this. Since I started this radio show, this has been one of my bucket list interviews, and it's just fantastic to be able to help promote the brand new album from Nova Collective, which is coming out this Friday through Metal Blade. And before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to mention that I haven't brought up yet?
No, I mean, I think we covered a lot of ground. There's always new things that are on the horizon, but they'll come to come to fruition as they're supposed to. Right now, I'm just focusing on getting this Nova Collective record out and trying to get on the road with them. It's gonna be fun.